Hello, everyone. Something happened in 2008 in Myanmar, the country which is our neighborhood country. Cyclone Nargis swept away Myanmar and it killed 140,000 people in just a blink of an eye. Today, same country with the same intensity of cyclone saves life of all its citizens. And this is not the story of only Myanmar. In our eastern coast of India or our neighboring country Bangladesh, decades ago, cyclones of high intensity used to kill tens of thousands of people. But now we don't get this bad news so often. So what happened in all those years? The one important factor that contributes to saving lives in disaster is the space technology. Access to the information that you cannot see by your eyes, seeing the unseen, that is what satellite has done. And it has offered great deal of information to the decision makers, and that has been saving lives and assets. So my engagement with Myanmar began after 2000, after Cyclone Nargis that take such a toll, 140,000 people killed there. And when I was to interact with them, telling them about how they can use space technology on all the phases of disaster management and they can build disaster resilience and all that, one of the senior ministers in Myanmar who was responsible for disaster management says to me, if only I had access to space technology to track the cyclones, I would have saved hundreds, thousands of lives. But let's go to little more severe example of higher magnitude. You all know that dinosaurs got extinct just because of impact of one single asteroid. Do you think history can repeat again? Earth is in such a huge cosmos. Can another asteroid come and impact us and we can get extinct? It's possible, right? It's not impossible. What happened to dinosaurs can happen to us. But I would say no. Because now we can track the asteroids when they are, millions of kilometers away. Tens of years before, we can predict the trajectory that comes if it is hitting the Earth. And we can even send the space missions to change the direction of those asteroids. We call them near-Earth objects. This is something happening through International Asteroid Network. And my engagement became very fruitful with International Asteroid Warning Network. And we published one great paper after simulations with NASA. When asteroid strikes, are we ready? And now we are prepared. If some asteroid is coming, we know how to save ourselves. Today, if the ghost of dinosaur comes to me, probably as they will say, if only I had access to space technology to track the asteroid, we would have been alive today. But anyway, thanks to that asteroid, as they got extinct, and after millions of years, humanity has born. So what space do for you, what satellites do, they don't stop disasters, but they stop disasters to become a tragedy. And that is what the power we have achieved already. But here, I have to share one story with you, how my orbit of a dream took me to a path which is less traveled. My journey from a small village of Maharashtra towards the United Nations and in space technology domain to protect Earth from disasters and even the extraterrestrial object that can also impact Earth. So how this happened? So from space orbit to orbit of my dream. That's what I would like to share. So I come from a small village. My name is Shirish Ravan. I'm brought up in a small village called Diganchi, which is at least 100 kilometers from any district nearby. My own district is also 100 kilometers away. Obviously, I never visited a big city or my district until I passed matriculation, 10th grade. I just went to a nearby town. Then it was a small town, Pandharpur, holy place. And there I entered into one temple. It's called Kaikadi Maharaj Mutt. It's like a maze, Bhul Bhulaiya. You go inside, on one side you have galleries depicting, life-size statue of our saints and ancient teachers and epics of Ramayana, Mahabharata. And on the left side, it's a wall, continuous wall. And on that wall, United Nations Charter was written in Marathi in a big letters. So all my friends were, when they were watching all those idols and galleries, I was on the other side reading United Nations Charter. And by the time 2 hours it takes inside, by the time we came out, I was completely familiar with what is United Nations, what happened during World War I, World War II, what UN did, how UN is making world a better place. And then just fire happened within me. A question came to my mind. A small village boy who doesn't know even how to speak English, can I become a member of such organization? Can I ever work for such organization? I know it was impossible to think, but I thought, and that fire happened. And I said, yeah, at some point, I must, work in making this world a better place with such kind of organizations. But it's a long, uncertain journey. I don't know what to do, how to do it. But fire succeeds, but ember remains within you. Probably it remained within me, and that guided my next direction of my life. So when I did my graduation, agriculture and post-graduation, environmental sciences, I got first ever research fellowship announced by ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. So I'm the first PhD fellowship holder of ISRO. And I got chance to do my PhD in Dehradun. Years passed on, I kept working, but something guided me within that I'm not a person meant for profit, loss, and making money. I have to work for people. Working for people means working for government. So I kept denying the opportunities coming from corporate world. I don't think anything bad in having career in corporate world. Now I run the companies, so kind of corporate world. But at that time I felt that I had to work for people. And working for people, and that means serving the humanity. I kept on doing that. And nothing happens accidentally in one moment. You keep on building, and suddenly one day you find that seeds that you have sown within you, ember that has been protected and guiding you, suddenly that manifests into reality, and then you can see that, oh, your dreams are coming true. But it's not a sweet accident. It's a pursuit that you follow for years. So in 2004, suddenly through the global competition, I was selected in United Nations, Vienna. Now, Vienna is the, always number 1 or 2 country in the world in terms of living index, and everything there is the best. And that is the United Nations building where I joined and I started my work. And a lot of you might think that United Nations in Vienna, glasses of wines or best chocolates with Mozart brand, or listening to opera. Yes, it's all there. But United Nations has always its own way of keeping you grounded. I made several missions to Afghanistan at that time. And I realized that my place is not in Vienna. I need to be in a place where my expertise, my experience, and my passion has much more relevance. Then I shifted to Afghanistan. And my job was to monitor opium. What beautiful color flowers you see, they are the most dangerous flowers. They are called opium poppy, or we call it afim. It produces heroin, which is the most addictive drug in the world. And 94% supply of heroin was happening only from Afghanistan to rest of the world. And my job was to curb that Afghanistan opium cultivation, reduce the import, convert them into something alternative livelihood. So all counter-narcotic activities. So I landed in Afghanistan to do this particular mandate. And the moment I land in airport, it is the probably scene that you will never see. It is not normal airport. All fighter planes, roaring sounds of those planes and all that. A person who came to receive me, when he was driving me, Afghan, I saw his 3 fingers missing. And I asked him, what happened to your fingers? Oh, he said, oh, I was Mujahid. When I was planting a mine to destroy Russian tanks, it exploded. I just wanted to ask him, have you killed any person? He said, Inshallah. So I know what I'm doing, with whom I'm sitting. I was able to meet persons who have faced, Mujahid life. There was another consultant with me who was part of the Rwanda genocide. He had to save his life. Where almost 1 million people were killed in just 3 months. And he was very much at the core of that genocide. He has to save himself. He was my consultant later on after 6 months. What I saw while working in Afghanistan with these kind of people, that these people, despite having such a trouble that we as an India, free, independent India, where independence has been achieved through Mahatma Gandhi's peace movement, not by the armed conflict. So peaceful India. You can't imagine the people coming from countries where violence is still there and they are still trying to build their lives. We can see still hope in their eyes. And this is what I learned when I was working in Afghanistan. Not only Afghans which were troubled with war-torn country, but also some of the African people who have been part of like Rwanda genocide. And I saw that ember, and this particular assignment in few years gave me deep sense of responsibility that I am not working for dollars or making money or any publicity as an international staff, but I have deep responsibility of using whatever I have learned for making this world a better place. So with that, I started moving forward. In Afghanistan, it changed my life, not just in terms of humanity, serving humanity, but because I got integrated with the culture, I wrote series of articles in newspaper called Sakal, because I was allowed to publish only in Marathi. So series of articles, every Sunday they appeared. I've called it Ubharte Afghan. While lots of people write mostly negative in newspaper, negative, media feeds on negative, but I wrote Ubharte Afghan, means hopeful Afghan. And those articles became so popular that every Monday, after the articles were read on Sunday, I used to receive hundreds of emails from all over the world who read this newspaper online. And I discovered that I never knew about myself. I am author, I am a poet. Lots of poetry happened from me. Next, I moved to United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs, which was also by passion. I started working for keeping the space safe and secure, bringing benefits of space to humanity. Whatever benefits you see today, whether you're talking on phone, whether you are surfing internet, whether you're navigating using your maps, or whether you are reading the weather report, everything is governed through this particular office. And I headed the very meaningful program called UN SPIDER, United Nations Platform for Space-Based Information for Disaster Management and Emergency Response. So what I mentioned about Myanmar, what I mentioned about dinosaurs got extinct, is all to do with this particular UN SPIDER assignment. This particular assignment, I worked in Vienna and then shifted to Beijing. I witnessed great Chinese culture also. We never understand any country just by media. Once you are in the country, you see your opinion about country is very, very different that media makes. It's really different when you see actually those countries. But this particular assignment became my passport to the world, and I traveled to 75 countries, offering them advice and advocacy on how they can build resilience in their country from all sorts of disasters and how they can effectively use space-based technologies. And results are great. Something like Myanmar, now lots of people proactively use, even if they don't have their own space program, they know that how, through international cooperation, they can use this and they can build resilience in their countries. So in Afghanistan, when I was there, in Vienna when I was there, something always stuck to my mind. As satellites are always linked to the ground, and they are controlled from the ground, so they are rooted somewhere. I have to also stay rooted from where I came. And therefore, back in India, just like the orbiting satellites, how they return to Earth, in the same way, I thought I must come back to my India, and I must work for my own country. And this is where I created two organizations. Devta is a development technologies accelerator, where I offer consultancies and nurture the businesses that gives me funds. And Earthside Foundation is my non-profit organization through which I connect to rural society. And through that, I ensure that all space-based technologies are used for transforming rural. Know your village. Normally people say, I know my village. But when I ask, okay, how many lakes you have surrounding? How much water is there right now? Is it enough for your next crop, Rabbi crop and all that? Well, I don't know that. And this is where I say, you don't know your village. You need to know by seeing from the space. And it's very easy today. And believe me, when I explain this to Sarpanch, Mahila Sarpanch, I did lots of programs for them. I mentioned it to leaders. Basically, I have taken leaders on board, not just officials or decision makers, but the elected leaders right from village, because when leaders will appreciate the power of technology, they will force the bureaucracy to use this technology on daily basis, because this technology is not meant for elite scientists or institutions. These technologies are meant for them, the grassroots stakeholders who should benefit from these technologies, because the real prosperity of our country lies in making our villages prosper. The purpose that I found back when I came, and here I would like to mention one important thing. Go back to my ember when I was in village, when I visited that temple in Pandharpur, when I thought, can I be in United Nations at the age of 12? Years passed, maybe after 20 years, I found myself as an international staff doing a lot of good work with the United Nations. So something that I sowed at early age manifested into reality. Journey was completely uncertain. I did not know how it will happen. As an agriculture graduate, I never know that I will become a space scientist. A lot of people think I must be an aerospace engineer, but no, I'm a simple agriculture person, basically. I know grafting, budding, jam making. So, from selling, growing the crops, selling those crops on the street, milking cows in the village, my journey took me to 75 countries, represented United Nations in many countries, and now back to India, I'm nurturing my own roots. So here, I just have two very thought-provoking message. Satellites have one beautiful capability. They view Earth from a distance, and they see the unseen. Lots of things that you don't see, satellite can see because of its capability in microwave, infrared, remote sensing, that's what we call. So they see what we cannot see. In the same way, if you can distance little bit yourself and observe your life from a distance, probably you get a perspective of what is your purpose in life. If you gain that perspective, stay always grounded and take one step at a time. As Osho has quoted in one book, that just take one step. Don't count the entire staircase. It's just one step at a time, and then something happens vertically, that raises your profile. One day comes, but it's always a one step at a time. And last important thing is an attitude of gratitude. When I say my orbit of a dream, which I saw, probably you might see much bigger, your orbit of a dream may be much bigger than mine as well. You can achieve it. But we have to always remember that it's not alone your orbit of a dream. You owe it to many. Most important is your family, your spouse, your friends, your mentors, your teachers, and all people who have worked with you. Whatever you have done, I would like to leave you with all this thought. Thank you so much.